and welcome to the Easily Excitable podcast. My name is Tom, and with me this week is Spencer. Hey man, how's it going?
I'm tired.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's been your first week back since you had a holiday, right?
Yeah, and the holiday wasn't that restful, and
Oh, no. What were you doing on holiday?
We basically visiting family. We were we spent a week at my wife's parents' place, and we had a wedding to go to while we were there, and then we drove back and spent a week at my parents' place. And my brother and his and my sister-in-law were there, so it was kind of family reunion for 2 weeks.
Oh, cool.
It was fun, but there was not much time for just relaxing.
Yeah, I can somewhat understand that. I've been just hectically busy working on my assignment and just generally in work. So of the last 9 days, I've been in the library 8 days working on it outside of work. So
good God.
And the day I had off was the day I played Dungeons and Dragons. So
well, that's somewhat relaxing.
It's somewhat relaxing, yeah, but it comes after a full day of work, so it's it's all a bit of a mess, and I'm not feeling particularly well rested. And then that's just the way the world seems to be going at the moment, especially as I have 6 weeks until it's break. Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
And then I'm off for 3 months, so
nice.
It's
but not off from work, just off from courses.
No, I'm off from work, but I'm doing my courses because I'm off.
Oh,
I'm going to be in America for 3 months from the beginning of October to the end of December.
Yes, bye. You're going to come back with a Yankee accent.
I know, right? It nearly happened after I was there for 2 weeks. So, that was a problem. Yeah, because I pick up accents somewhat readily. I certainly did when I was in Singapore. The problem with the Singaporean accent is they speak English, but it's predominantly Asians who are a mix of Indian and Malaysian and Chinese and Thai. And so they all speak English, but you need to have a distinct accent to speak to them in it. And they also cut words out. So I came back speaking significantly less words, but trying to convey the same amount of stuff.
That could be problematic.
Yeah, it was certainly interesting. So yeah, that was when I was away in Singapore, and that was an interesting time. But yeah, I definitely picked up a bit of an accent while I was over for just 2 weeks. By the end of it, I was like, yeah, all the American words, and saying y'all as a contraction. Ooh, that was interesting.
Yeah, I say that anyway. Just it's faster.
Yes, definitely is. Yeah, cool. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was the fact that recently I've updated the recording software that I use to Reason 9. Which is a digital audio workstation which has lots of plugins for different things you can do with it. So I'm going to try and use it to record music with. I'm not particularly what's the word I want to use? I was going to say sufficient, and that's not the right word. Proficient, that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you very much. In creating drum beats and things like that with it. So I need to figure out how to do that. I've seen it. If
memory serves me correct, I've attempted to do because I use an older version of Reason 8 for doing a lot of the composition work, the music work, and doing drums is a little different in there, and as a result, I've just sort of summarily dismissed it. I'll either, if I'm doing beats or something like that, I'll either download an actual patch or a loop, or I'll go back into I have a library of loops that I have that I can call upon, or I'll just switch to GarageBand.
That's what I plan on doing, and just exporting from GarageBand and just being like, yeah, I'll take them from there because they're actually really good, and you can control them real easily.
And you can actually go in and edit them. It's not so much the coming up with the beats in Reason, it's the editing of them from what I recall. And you can go in and edit the GarageBand beats pretty readily, very similar to other drum replace programs like SSD4 and MT2, MT Power Kit 2, and all that stuff. So,
yeah, I like I said, I think I'm just gonna try and like put to a click track and basic drum beat what I want,
Mm.
and then go to GarageBand and just export a bunch of things at the correct tempo and shove them where I need them to be and see if they fit, and like export them as loops and then send them to where I want them to
Yeah.
And the fact that I can play around with that, trim them, replicate them, duplicate them even, and just play around with that, especially as like I'm trying to record and get things done at certain tempos, then that will certainly help, especially as I'm like roughly going through like a demo phase of a song, and then I'll have the drum beats set. And once you've got the drum beats set, then you're just like, okay, then I'll put all the rest of the instrumentation in properly.
Yeah.
And
Reason is really, really good for that stuff. Really fantastic for the composition part. And also 9.5 Reason, you can use VST plugins now with it, as before you couldn't. So if you have a bunch of VSTs that you were using on your other software, DAW, then you can just start using them in Reason now. And it's fantastic. A lot of people have been raving about that, actually.
Yeah, I saw lots of good feedback about it, which is why I was like, oh, well, I'll go with that and enter that ecosystem and see how it works. And so far, it's suiting me well. I am, because I can't really afford much of the effects and VSTs to go into it, I am running through Podfarm to go direct into the software. I'm still trying to figure out how to like reamp it from there. I tried to reamp some stuff and didn't work because our signal, like trying to handle the raw guitar signal I found quite challenging, because it's just the way I'd recorded it. Like, it's not great. It doesn't exactly do what I want it to do.
And then, that stuff can be tricky. That can.
Yeah,
it
so
really
I was
can.
just trying, because then you've got to try and like retrofit how you want it to sound, and I just can't get it to. Whereas if I'm playing direct in, and I'm hearing exactly what I want, then I know I'm getting exactly that when it's coming out. And it seems to work well enough for me. So
there you go.
I'm enjoying that. And then like, because I've updated that, I also updated the video like production software that I'm using, and that's real interesting too. It works. I want to say it works similar to iMovie, but it's like significantly more powerful. I can have multi-tracks of videos that I can cut between, and then there's a whole bunch of video editing stuff that I can do as well. That I'm definitely not going to do for
FCP X.
No. I have bought myself a PC rather than another Mac. So I decided to go into a different. I went for, what is it? I think it's like Cyberlink Power Director.
Okay.
And it's like one of the most highly rated ones that I've seen that wasn't like an industry one.
Right.
But people that do things on YouTube and things like that, you tend to use it as well. I've seen good things about it, and there's lots of tutorials around for it. So that was one of the reasons I was like, I'll pick it up.
I can't believe you left the Mac Fold, man.
But it was
that dagger that's in my back right now, man. The dagger. No.
But I don't know. It all works nicely, and I wanted to play like video games on the laptop I was buying as well. So
there you go.
I can have like a significant, like, I don't know. It's the laptop I bought is like real good for video games. So
nice.
It by extension is real good for video processing and recording audio. So
yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of the same assets, right?
Yeah. So that was one of the reasons I was like, oh well, if I'm getting this laptop, then this laptop can do everything I need it to.
Yeah, just don't try and do it all at one time, because it might freak out.
Yeah, absolutely might. So yeah, that's I'm trying to figure out what I want to do is I want to try and like record a video that I can edit and like try and put interesting things in it, like names coming above a person. So as you move closer to them, the name stays in the same place with the person and moves around with them as you move the camera around as well. And like, it's just thinking of things like that and trying to how to do that. It's not that I want to make a video that does that. It's just, that'd be a cool thing to know if I want to be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to do this. And as I'm going to have 3 months to just kind of, I'm going to be studying, but at the same time, just not be able to do anything other than just think about stuff to do. It kind of gives me a goal of something that I'd like to try and achieve, even if it's not really for a specific purpose.
There you go.
So yeah, that's interesting. That's something I'm going to be absolutely trying. So what I do with my podcasts, right, is I record them, and then you would typically I'd typically then put them together with the audio track that I get from the guest that I've got on, which in this
Mm-hmm.
case is you. From there, I would then put it all together, put the beginning together and the end together, make sure they match up, and then check a few minutes throughout, right?
Right.
Rather than listening to the whole thing back to make sure it's continuous and it makes sense. And if you sample at different sections throughout what you're trying to listen to see whether you think it's of a sufficient quality, then you can determine that the whole thing is of the quality that you're looking for, right?
Yeah, I actually do that when I'm at my university job here with the digital audio restoration stuff. It's like, okay, bidding, and I mean, a lot of the times I am listening through it as it goes because a lot of the material is old and you kind of got to keep an eye on it so it doesn't just rip apart, fly apart at the seams structurally. But yeah, you listen to it and he's like, okay, and pop yourself in a couple times every so often during the playback and just to verify that nothing too screwy is going on.
So that process itself is something that I've been working on at work, which is something called statistical process control. So rather than looking at a whole thing and saying, okay, we'll assess every single thing in here, like initially when I was doing the podcast, or the first podcast I was doing, I'd listen back to the whole thing to make sure that there were no issues. And as time's gone on, it's been pretty easy to either visually check by looking at the bars or listening to segments through through the whole of the recording to make sure that it is all okay. So instead of looking at the whole thing, you'd be looking at maybe 10% of the whole recording to say, this is actually a thing that works. It's all good based on what I've seen or what I've heard. And so, yeah, I'm taking that approach in work, and it's kind of bled out into what I do for recording the podcast and just doing other things in general. And yeah, I think it's like a fascinating thing that you can take like 5% of something that's produced and say, this 5 to 10% is okay, therefore the whole thing must be okay. And for the majority of times, it will be fine. But there are obviously cases that are outlying.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, just even, again, the work that I'm doing, I mean, a tape could be going fine. And I'm listening to it, I'm sort of, giving it 20% of my attention while I'm doing other things in the office. If I get up and I go, say, grab some water at the water cooler and I come back, something might have happened in that, 45 seconds, but I didn't hear it because I'm out of the room.
Yeah.
And then it's a bit of a surprise to me when I come back to listen to it after the fact. But if I don't click on that 45 minutes, that 45-second span upon, proofing it, I still don't know it's there. So it can be sketchy, but for the most part, yes, you are correct. And that comes being able to trust that process comes with experience as well. So
yes,
I mean, you found the more you use it, the more confident you are in it, right? I mean, because it's sort of pattern recognition at one point.
Yeah. So next week I have a new employee starting, and I will monitor everything she does for the first few days.
Right.
Then from there, I will absolutely cut it down to 50% or so. Make sure that she's doing the correct job. And then from there, it will be less and less for each time we get, say, a batch come in to test for quality control. So I will take that approach in training as well, and making sure that the lessons I've taught or the training that I've provided is sufficient for the job that's being carried out.
Right.
By initial 100% of the time monitoring, and then slowly cutting it down until I need to test one batch every day to make sure that it's being followed correctly.
Right.
And then I'll have faith that everything has been learned correctly and the whole process works as it should.
Yeah.
And so it's a nice way to think. of how to check and assess something is that you don't need to assess everything associated with one thing.
Right.
And yeah, it's just a way to make things more efficient. And it's been particularly on my mind because of all the things that I've been doing at work as well. And it's like my area at work. I would like we had a consultant in today, and he was in for 3 hours. And in those 3 hours, he spotted 7 problems that needed to be addressed. Of those 7, 3 of them occurred within 2 minutes. And I was
within
just like,
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a whole situation, and yeah. So like once he was done, I was just like, okay, we all need to have a bit of a chat with like some of the managers, and it was an interesting day, and I managed to write down the titles of every single one of the documents. But no details.
Oh.
So it's just like,
Oopsie.
I'm going to go back in and I'm going to have 7 documents to write up.
Yeah.
But it's just a lot of stuff that's a bit of a mess. But you know,
Yeah.
it's fine. That's the way things go, isn't it?
Yeah, I was using a up until I technically still use it. I'm using this software that allows me to fill in metadata on work that I do, and so I just listen to it. It's called BFW Edit or something like that. Meta Edit. I can't remember now. This is how tired I am, and so basically, what I can do is I can go through, I can listen, and I can put in tags and say, okay, this was recorded by this person interviewing this person about this. This is the year. This is what it was done on. This is how long it is. And that's some of that autofill is just basically on the waveform itself. It looks at it very technically and says, okay, it's this long. There's the max peak. Here's the minimum. Done. Yeah. But all the other stuff you had to fill in. If you don't save it and then export that to, say, an Excel spreadsheet or something like that, eventually gone. Like if you don't open it within 6 months or something like that, all that information, all that you imprint on this particular WAV file disappears. I discovered shortly before vacation that I have about 100 hours of audio to go back through and put all the metadata in. I'm like, son of a biatch. Oh, that was a very demoralizing day. And I didn't realize there was a time limit on it, right? Because if not, if I had, I would have just put it over on the spreadsheet because it was only a partial project. I was waiting for the go ahead to finish the second half. So I had to go back and listen to everything and fill everything in again. And anybody who around here knows me, that's my least favorite thing to do is to just
do the same
fill
thing again.
Metadata. Yeah, filling in metadata. The first time is just tedious enough. The second time, just it's like plucking at my eyeballs with toothpicks or something. You know, that's I can't stand it. But that's on me. So yeah,
fair enough. So before your vacation, and I guess a bit during your vacation, I saw that you were working on some musicy stuff.
I was, yes.
What has been going on?
There's and this is been talked about before because Jeremy actually talked about it on the Off Topic podcast a while ago now. Is that he and I are working on a new Rooster Teeth song.
Oh, cool.
And I can't really get into details about it just because it's a very specific, purpose-driven song. I mean, the other ones is like, oh, hey, this is about this. This one's about this. This one's about this. And it wasn't, there weren't sort of parameters around it kind of a thing. But this one is very specific. And we've actually done 2 versions of it because the first one just kind of missed the mark a little bit. It's a very cool tune, and I think we're going to reuse it as a 1551 song. But it wasn't really quite good for the good. It wasn't appropriate for what we're working on. So, just before I left, we had sent off. It was what we thought was going to be, if not the final mix, very close to it, and the ones sort of looking after the bigger picture project, they're kind of like, oh, can we do this, and this? And I'm like, I'm leaving for 2.5 weeks tomorrow, like tomorrow.
Mhm.
I'm going to have to take a laptop with me, but it won't be. Nothing will be final until I get back and incorporate it into the master session that I have back on my office computer. They're
Mhm.
okay, well that's fine. So I took a laptop and an interface with me when I left for vacation, and within I think 5 days I had all the necessary musical changes made.
Yeah.
And I sent that off to Jeremy. He's like, perfect. Are there any lyrical changes that we need to make? And he was given a few things. We can't really do any profanity in this one.
Okay, fair enough.
So Jeremy's working. He's current, but he only found that out a few days ago. So he's currently reworking some of the lyrics so that it's. I mean, and not that there was a lot of profanity in it, but what was there was F-bombs and stuff like that. So we were told to clean that up. So I'm expecting new vocals from him any day.
Cool.
I was actually half expecting them this morning, but that's it. So I figures they're quite busy in the office down in Texas these days. But the music is all finalized. So that actually had, that's been sort of check marked. So that's good. And I'm very happy with it now. I was kind of hemming and hawing about it when I was actually on vacation, but I sort of took a break from it for the second half of my vacation. I came back to work, incorporated everything back into the master session, and I'm actually liking it a lot right now. So that's cool. Really good. So yeah, just waiting on the new vocals, and then I think we're done.
Awesome.
When it will be released, I know not. Don't know, because where it's very specific, purpose driven. I don't know. It's meant to be part of something, and I don't know when that's being released. So
fair enough. Speaking of Jeremy, he released a book called Go Nitro. Have you had a chance to check it out?
No, I've been trying to order it, but every time I go try to order it, like Amazon doesn't take PayPal.
Okay.
And what's the other site that doesn't take PayPal? So I'm waiting for an e-release of it now.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm waiting for as well. But
I want to read it, but I haven't been able to. And it would have been nice to get it on. It was released a little too close to my vacation. Like I would not, even if I had successfully been able to order it with PayPal, I wouldn't have received it before I went on vacation. Yeah. So I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to order it and then just have it sitting there. So I was going to wait till I came back from vacation to order it. And then, every time I go to order it, it's like, oh, we don't take PayPal. It's like, well, what's the good of you?
Yeah.
Really?
Fair enough.
So I'm hoping for either the e version or I'm probably going to do a little bit more looking around. I'd love to be able to pick it up on like Google Books or something like that. That would be good. I know he's actually doing a Kindle version of it right now, but I think I'm hoping it's going to show up on like Google Books or something like that.
Yeah, he said that it's definitely going to be released later in time in a digital file in digital format. So I'm anxious to look at to check it out. I haven't read many books for pleasure, just for my own purposes since high school. Just because I would say I've only ever read like 6 books.
I got you beat.
I need to get.
I got less than that.
Really?
Drew Carey's autobiography, Craig Ferguson's autobiography, and there was something else. I can't remember what it was, but it was okay. And that was it. Like I've never had time nor patience, and I blame a specific book in particular from high school. It's called Lure of the Labrador Wild. Do yourself a favor. If you suffer from insomnia at all, go read this book. I got one chapter in, and then circumstances came to pass that I didn't have to read the rest of it because I had to read. It was a high school thing, and it turned out we didn't have to read it afterwards because we weren't going to be tested on it because there was a teacher strike that year. So public exams got basically canceled, and so I had gotten a chapter in, and no. Just instant narcolepsy, and it ruined books for me. Ruined it. Ruined. RUINT. Ruined.
I never really got into reading, but I have been at the library reading a lot of books. Like for work stuff, but it is just picking out what I want. like so I can make reference to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's what I've been working on.
Yeah, I mean, I read technical manuals all the time. I read articles all the time, all that
Yeah.
good stuff. But
I read a lot of stuff online.
yeah,
And I'm just like, oh, maybe I should actually read properly sometime.
it has to be a spectacularly engaging book for me to not fall asleep within about 4 pages.
Yeah,
it really does, and I don't, and I blame Lure of the Labrador Wild for it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're feeling particularly masochistic someday, go read it. You know.
Right. Have you been enjoying any music recently?
I have actually been enjoying. I haven't been enjoying like en masse projects like full CDs because I haven't had time to really sit down and listen to them. But I've been listening to singles here and there. For instance, Imagine Dragons' "Believer." I've been thoroughly enjoying that, and not only that, but the little fella likes it too. I had it on because I picked it up and I bought it and put it on my phone just so I could have it to listen to, on demand kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so I've had it on my phone, and I was listening to it. It came on the radio there about a day or two before I went on vacation, and I looked back in the rear view mirror that pointed at Mr. Man in his car seat and behind me, and he was bopping away, grooving to it. Like nice. Really, right in time with the beat of it. And I was like, I gotta go buy this song. And and the same thing. I put it on for him last night because, why not? And just driving around. And again, he started doing the bopping in the back seat. I'm like, this is so cool. But yeah, awesome. It's been like little singles here and there. Like Ria Mae's new song is really nice. My buddy Alan Doyle, he's got a new song out. It's really cool. I'm enjoying that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just singles here, the odd single here and there. But I mean, I haven't really listened to much in the past 3-4 weeks, simply because radio reception around my parents' place, where it's kind of in a valley. Mm-hmm. Radio reception was horrible, so I listened to a lot of my wife's iPod. Mm-hmm. Questionable musical taste. Very, very, like there was a lot of skipping.
Fair enough.
But a few CDs here and there. But I mean, that's just standard. The CDs I've always listened to, that kind of thing.
Fair enough. I've someone said earlier in the week, it's probably Rachel. She said that Kesha's new album's come out, and I was just like, I'll check it out. It's a pop album. I probably won't like it. And I listened to it. Yeah. And I've listened to it 5 times this week, and it's amazing. Yeah, I've heard a couple singles. That was the other couple singles I heard before while I was gone, or just before I left or something. I was shocked at how good it sounded. Shocked. It's real good. She's got 2 tracks with Eagles of Death Metal, and then she's got a track with Dolly Parton, and then she's got a track where she sings about Godzilla, and the whole album's just real delightful. Yeah, which is good because as earwormy as her previous stuff was, it was not my cup of tea, Yeah. This album, real good. Like I said, 5 times this week I've listened to it, and it's like, it's words you thought you'd never good. Say, right? I know, right? Yeah, I'm all for giving something a try. And yeah, I'm glad I took the punt on it to listen to it. Yeah. And it was good. I listened to so many albums like Monday and Tuesday, and then I don't know, I think I listened to at least 8 albums each of those days, and then I've listened to 6 albums over the past 3 days. So I've been stuck in meetings and doing things, so I just haven't had a chance to sit down and listen to music. And I'm God, you're doing far better than I am, because I've had like music on in the background, just whatever random thing pops up, because I've been doing a lot of website design stuff since I got back, and it's nice to. But even then, I kind of find it a little bit distracting, because then I'll start really paying attention to music, and then I'm not paying attention enough to the website design, and I'm loading the wrong picture into the wrong student bio, and it's like she doesn't look like that. And then I gotta go back. Like that 28-year-old dude. Basically, that actually happened. I don't know how old he is, but it was a dude with like a big old mustache and glasses, and I'm like,
Wait, that's not right. Damn it! Now I had to go back and do this again. And there's nothing. And the program that we're using for building university websites is I'm not going to name it because I hate it. It's not really user friendly, and fortunately, the university is soon going to be not using it. But that means I then have to learn a whole new system. But I'm hoping it's easier to learn than what this was, because
Fair enough.
Yeah, don't like it.
Cool. Well, Spencer, where can we find you across the internet?
Pornhub. No. You thought you were going to get away with the whole episode, didn't you? You can find me on Twitter at Spencer in NL, or Spencer in Newfoundland, as it's, what the abbreviation stands for. Or I'm also Grenew on the Rooster Teeth site. And I have a SoundCloud, as long as SoundCloud still stays in operation. That was a bit of a thing while I was gone. Yeah. So yeah, just search for Spencer Crew on SoundCloud, and there I be.
Cool.
Yeah. And I'm on YouTube as Grenew as well.
Oh, yeah.
I keep forgetting that.
Yeah. I can be found across the internet at Destroy Topham or at Etherfar. And this is the Easily Excitable podcast. I can be found on the Rooster Teeth site at Topham as well. So, yeah. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Spencer, for being my guest this week.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.
Excellent. And have an exciting week. Goodbye.